Hey everybody, welcome to MT Guitar. Today we're doing The Ocean by Led Zeppelin. This is one of the most iconic Led Zeppelin songs off of Houses of the Holy, right in their prime, just amazing stuff coming out of Led Zeppelin. This is just a sort of a powerhouse riff. A riff that you can play on acoustic, and I'm going to show you what it sounds like on acoustic coming up. D blues area. Stick around for that. I think it's nice to be able to play a rock song on the acoustic, but this is obviously a heavily distorted guitar sound on the Les Paul, but you can play it on any guitar, so just want to make that clear. This riff is a really nice riff in sort of the main position of A minor pentatonic, or position 1 I should say. A lot of the first scales that people learn are in this area. So when we go, that's all from this shape right here. And then when it goes here, that's actually a note from the major scale. It's very brief, you know, but it's actually maybe from the Mixolydian mode a little bit. So that's another typical blues scale you'll see, and a great place to find riffs as well. So mainly minor pentatonic kind of area. A little spice of major. Okay, now we have the verse, and we just have a really tight rhythm part, you know. Just great for your rock rhythm. Nice and syncopated a little bit here. But 6, 7, which brings us to the next point. A great sort of stretch of your rhythmic skill here would be to be able to play in odd time signatures. So that means something that's not typical 4/4, 3/4, or 6/8. Those are pretty much the 3 time signatures we see a lot. This is in 7/8 for a bar. Every other bar it's 7/8. So if I'm thinking the first bar is 4, 3, 4. That was actually only 7 eighth notes right there, so that would be 7/8. All right, let's see if I can count it and play it at the same time. Pretty difficult. Let's see. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2. It's tough, but that's it. So 4/4, 7/8. And instead of counting it, you should feel it. You should feel it. So with rhythm, probably don't want to analyze it too heavily for too long of a period of time. You can for a bit, but eventually you just kind of want to get it in your heart and your mind and your ear, if that makes sense, to where you just know where the beat is. So it's like, I'm practicing along and I'm going, just know it's right after that. Here we go. That way the 7/8 is taken care of if you can hit that at the right time. I know it's easier said than done, but that's a good way to do odd time signatures, is to really feel it. You also have the outro, and so there's a lot going on. We're going to cover the solo in a different lesson, soon upcoming. But I just want to write out everything on the Patreon for you so you can play this song from beginning to end with all the rhythm parts. All right, so now I want to show it to you on the acoustic. It sounds really good on it as well, I think. And there's some things that Jimmy Page adds to the guitar part on the second verse and chorus. One thing that is obvious to Led Zeppelin fans is how masterful of a producer Jimmy Page was and a guitar part writer. It's rare that he would just repeat the same thing throughout verses. He's going to add something to it, or maybe, you know, add interest or some texture to it, etc. So in this case, we have just some subtle additions, but for instance, we have these sort of very ghost notes, like palm muted. Sometimes he's almost fretting it, but most of the time he's just muting it, and it adds a little bit of interest. Same thing on the verse. Right? Bam! So he adds this really cool sort of F triad up here, which is, you know, nicely fitting in with this sort of D blues area. leaves us also with the outro, kind of a rock and roll 12/8 kind of feel when it goes. Right? And after a while, let's imagine this is the ending right here. Really cool part he does live. Also, you know, both octaves of this. So you have a couple things to choose from. I'll write out both on the Patreon, but what he did live was really a creative part, which is not exactly what's on the studio. So fun to look at the studio and the live and see what you want to do. And like I said, I'm happy to write out both and put them on the Patreon and give you some things to choose from. That reminds me, please do check out the Patreon and see if it'll be of service to you. I really want to thank all the patrons who are on there. It really means a lot. And thank you for subscribing. We're trying to get up to 100,000 subscribers at some point, and every subscriber really helps a lot. So thank you for that. Let's go ahead and jump on in, learn this. All right, so of course we're going to start with the main riff, which is a really good lesson in hammer-ons, also odd time signature, as I mentioned. So just all around a really cool thing to be able to do. And you can say, I can play a riff in odd time signature after this. All right, so we're going to do 2 quick hammer-ons. They're pretty much called grace hammer-ons, meaning they're instant. Another really good blues and rock technique that you should try to get down. And we're going to do 5 to 7 on the 4th string here, the D string, twice. Okay, a little slower. Even if I go slower, notice the hammer-ons are still lightning quick. Last time. Okay, now we go down the scale, so that's 5th fret, 7th fret on the 5th string, 8th fret on the 6th string. And then you can kind of slide it down to end the phrase. Another technique that's really good to know, you can just sort of slide in or out of things, and Jimmy Page is a huge fan of doing that. He's often sliding in and out of notes. Last time. Even slower. Okay, good. Now, back to our pentatonic shape here. 5, 7, 5, 5, 7, 7. So that's all picked. Now we get to slide into the major note here. That's the C sharp. That's the 3rd of the key. And we get a quick grace slide from 3 to 4. And it's, you know, it's very fast, so it's, you can even get away with not sliding into it if you want. But 3 to 4, 7 on 5th string, 5th fret, A string, and then 7th fret. So it'll be. And now to successfully do the odd time, you would want to instantly go into the riff after no pause. Here we go. Let's go even slower. 3, 4, and yeah. Okay, so you do that 4 times. After 4 times, you would go straight into the verse. So on the 4th time, you don't play the very last note. Okay, and you skip the 7th fret there, so you go chord. All right, now quick disclaimer: Jimmy does all down. Okay, and that's something you can do. I'm choosing to go down, up, down, up. I tend to like the sound of that and the feeling of that. However, if I was in a Led Zeppelin cover band, I would probably have to do the all downs just to completely match the part. So it's of course up to you. All right, so I'm going to go down, up on this D power chord here. Well, it's actually a D major. Okay, then I go down 2 frets to the C. And just to clarify if that's confusing, by the power chord I mean just the 5th and 4th strings and the 3rd string if you want as well. That would be just a power chord, and then the 2nd string is the major note. All right, so again, back to our progression here. Down 2 frets to C. Same strumming pattern. Now, the harder part of it would be, we're going to go A, this kind of A with the index finger barring the 3 strings, then a very slight bend on the 3rd fret bass, 6th string, and then back to your A chord. And now a C chord, slide up 2 frets, which is kind of tricky because you're sliding the whole bar, and then down up. So that would be 3, 4. Three, 4. That's the 2nd time. Here's the 3rd time. Last time. Seven. Now, if you're going to play this correctly, you would cut off an 8th note there after the 4th time because it's a 7/8 bar into the riff. So that would be 5, 6, 7. All right, if that's going to be the one thing that dissuades you, though, don't worry. It's not a huge deal if you don't cut off that 8th note rest. It would matter in a band maybe, but just playing it at your house or for fun, it's not a huge deal. Then you go back to the riff, and like I said, we're going to add these muted sort of things here. You can kind of palm mute the 8th and 7th fret, but he really quickly abandons that. So I think it's kind of a cool effect, but then he basically mutes the entire time. So I'm just going to kind of recommend muting, and you're just going to go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then everything else is the same. The 2nd time the verse happens, we're going to go, so you're going to go 10th fret, 4th, 3rd, 2nd strings, and the slide down. Like this. Okay? That's that. Now the solo happens over this, and John Paul Jones, even live, is still playing that, of course, on the bass. You can just play that during the solo. I will cover the solo in a later lesson, so stay tuned for that. After the solo, this part here, which is really cool, that would be what he does live. The studio, though, is more like this. So I kind of did both in the demo. You're welcome to pick either one. I like this one, what he does live. Sounds, even cooler with the bass line, of course, but it works really well, I think, even by itself. So you're going to slide up to 7th and 5th frets and do the same strumming pattern. This is basically a harmony from this, so it's like, which I don't recommend doing that, but you can kind of hear the bass go with it. So down 2 frets, and you go the first 2 strings, 3rd and 2nd frets, 2nd and open frets, right? Kind of like an A almost, back to D, and then slide up to D again. So these are both Ds. D, C, D, D. 3, 4. All right, now you could also do it here, 7 and 7. And then go down to from D to C, so down 2 frets. Now 7 and 7, 5 and 6, 7 and 7. You can also add that hammer on too. Hammer. Okay, then you would end your riff, end that part there with the riff, and then do a hammer on for the na 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 part. Then Page does his awesome breakdown vocal harmony, which by the way is in 4/4 and 7/8. So after that it goes straight back into the verse. All right, but after that then we finally have the rock and roll section. So this is a 12/8 feel. John Lennon famously did this on She Loves You, I forget. Anyway, famous on an early Beatles song, but it's like a 12/8 thing where you just go down, up, down, up, down, up in a triplet fashion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, you go D to E, and then ba 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 ba. I'll show you the riff in a sec, but chords. A, down, up, down on the D. Da, da, da. Up, down on an E. Da, 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 da. Down, up, down, up, down. Whatever you want, but that's the rhythm. And then what he does live is really cool, kind of summarizing the riffs that are happening in the rhythm part. You know, again, just great writing. So 12-11 on the A string. I'm sorry, on the 4th string while you play the A string open. And then same thing on the D. Just move everything down a string, move everything up 2 strings. So that's. Notice I'm playing the open A string, D string, and then the E string. And then you go 11, 12, 9 on the 4th string. Make sure you're muting the 5th string. Repeat. This time 12-11, 12-11. That happens twice. Also, the main riff of the studio recording and what eventually Page does live as well is this really cool thing here. So that's 4th fret full note band, unband, 2, 1, 4, 2, 4, 2. Okay. Live, he does it up an octave as well. And there is a harmony, but this is meant as a solo arrangement, so I would just do this part. Right. There you go. So that's that, and then it just goes back into this, and eventually they go and it kind of ends there. So kind of an interesting ending, pretty unique, and a throwback to rock and roll doo-wop kind of sound. There you go. That covers all of it except for the solos, and now you can play the song from beginning to end with all the rhythm parts intact. Hope you enjoy, and remember to practice it nice and slow if you need to, and look for that solo to come. All right, thanks.